What's happening, folks? It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, for your home for crypto assets and MJ stocks and interviews. Today is Friday. Happy Friday. Today is December 9th. Hope you're well, and got an exciting one for you today. If you're just joining the stream, welcome. See, we have quite a few people with us, so thanks for joining the stream. Got an exciting one for you today. Before we jump into it, though, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe. Take the bell to be notified on any future videos or when I go live. In this video, going to be discussing some news that just broke with regards to the drink limits here in Canada did increase. And we also had an interview with HEXO CEO Charlie Bowman, where he went over quite a few key points, and he did confirm that earnings are going to be next week as well. So you can expect that next week. I'm going to play the interview for everybody here as well, but we'll run through the news. Let me know what you guys think of this news, but I'm pretty excited. We can probably expect 6 packs and 12 packs, maybe even 24 packs, maybe even 48 packs, based on the fact that the drink limit did go up. So very exciting to see. Like I said, lots of growth just from our Canadian industry that we have yet to really explore, right? We know that he mentioned in the interview as well that he is expecting that these drinks will be eventually going to be available in liquor stores. And then imagine if we were able to buy these in convenience stores, right? Obviously 18 or 19 or whatever the legal age is plus. But you can see here, this article from StratCan, Health Canada has announced new changes to the MJ regulations today, which include increased beverage possession limits. So the changes announced today, we'll just go through this a little bit quicker. So they amended the changes, and we'll go through this to get to the key points here. So Health Canada is also, let's make this full screen for everybody to see. Health Canada is also currently conducting a review of the MJ Act itself, with a report to be tabled no later than spring 2024. But as of December 2nd, 2022, the amount of MJ beverages that an adult can possess in public for non-medical purposes has increased to 48 355 milliliters standard size beverage cans, so approximately 17.1 liters, compared to the previous limit of approximately 5 times 355 mil cans. So this is a big, we already knew that this was going to happen, but this is the official confirmation. So that is the news with regards to the MJ drinks. And there was also an article that came out directly from Truss. So we know that Truss, the joint venture with Molson Coors and HEXO Corp, is, they mentioned in the video as well, about 37% market share. So obviously this is huge news for Truss here in Canada, as this is hindering the industry. But in my opinion, they were, dealing with scaling issues and things like that. So it wasn't a bad thing that we kind of had that delayed. We know that the mixed seltzers, those new seltzers, the Truss ones, they have like a 4-pack. So we'll see more of that. We'll probably see 6, 12, maybe even 24 and 48 packs now that this increase has happened. So you can actually buy 72 236 milliliter beverages. I'm not sure there's going to be anybody listening to my voice that's going to go in and buy 72 of these bad boys, but challenge, all the power to you. But obviously it's a new day for MJ beverages. Great news, just in time for the holidays. MJ equivalency for beverages has changed. Health Canada has listened to consumer and industry feedback on beverage equivalency, purchasing, and possession limits. Legal age Canadians will now be able to purchase up to 48 standard size cans of XMG sodas and Molos, or up to 72 of the 236 mils of the XMG and House of Terpene Cantinis, which are fantastic. Check out my review on those. We also have some news that could potentially break on Monday. Will congressional leaders include MJ banking in the omnibus spending bill expected on Monday? So we could see some volatility and news and catalyst developments with regards to that on Monday. So we'll keep an eye out for that. But I do want to bring up the interview here with CEO Charlie Bowman. They did mention that earnings are going to be next week. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. It has to be reported by December 15th. So I would say there's no reason why we shouldn't expect that or any delays or anything like that. He was very confident that it'd be out next week and pointed to a lot more greener days ahead, no pun intended. So we'll go through this here right now, and it's only about 8 minutes long. So I'll play the whole video and we'll kind of pause it and go through and give my narrative as well.
Our own David George Koch spoke with the CEO of HEXO, Charlie Bowman, to get his thoughts on turning the cannabis producer around after it lost more than $1 billion. Here's what the CEO has to say on the health of the company's balance sheet.
What we had to do in April when I came on board was reset the company. And resetting the company was both the balance sheet to strengthen it. We took on a debt from a company called Tilray. They gave us basically the financing that we were requiring to reset a debt load from a company called High Trail. Once we reset that debt load, now it was a matter of getting into the basics, resetting inside the four walls. And by that, what I mean is really looking at what our production looks like, what are our unique capabilities, what do we do that's unique and grow, which brands that we had and which market segments could we service. And so our focus was all around that to strengthen so that we stopped burning cash on a monthly basis to have the operations start to throw off cash. And then it was a matter of just timing to clean up the contracts, the different agreements that we had to do to get the business to where it's strengthened. You saw a cut in SG&A in Q3 to Q4. You'll see the continuation of that.
And that's something that I've been mentioning as well, that SG&A is going to continue to drop, and we likely haven't seen all of the benefits and all of the all of that reflected in the numbers, right? So it's going to take some time, and he said we should continue to expect improvements on that in the next quarter.
In Q4 to Q1 when we release next week, as well as you'll see that our earnings start creeping up. Basically, we focused in on a couple core brands, and then it's around just driving those into the marketplace.
Specifically, how lean are you? I believe HEXO has, I think, dropped their staff count by over half.
It's actually almost a third. We've gone down from about 1,700 people, to we're now just above 500 people currently in the group. And that was around taking a look at what strategic assets we had, and some of those we closed. We put one asset back into bankruptcy, which was Cannabis, which we inherited. And then the rest of it was really look at what's really core within our business.
And are you now generating positive cash flow with your business right now?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention here, we were talking about this in the Powell Group private community. He said we inherited Cannabis. I'm not sure exactly if that was the right choice of word or not. They acquired Cannabis, so not sure what he means by inherited. But yeah, that was obviously something that likely had to be done. And then obviously with the acquisition of Redecan, they no longer needed all of those facilities, right? And they likely didn't know that the Redecan acquisition was 100% going to go through when they were buying Cannabis, right? So the crown jewel with Cannabis was to get them in international, get the Malta facility EU GMP certified, and also their Atholville facility for the indoor grow, which was a state-of-the-art facility. But now they're leveraging mostly Redecan's facilities in Ontario and their own facilities.
That's a good point. Next week, we'll be launching our earnings that'll come out into it. We're not quite to the point that we're positive EBITDA right now, but we're very close.
So again, not to the point where they're positive EBITDA yet, but they are. He did say earnings next week.
And the goal was, I think when I first came in, the first one was negative 18. And last quarter was around 7.5, 7.8. This time we're right at break even. So it's a steady pace that you go in. If you do it too fast, you actually break the organization. So that's how fast can you go? At the same time, how much strengthening can you do into the market? And so now we've reset the operations, and the goal right now is really around commercially. So we have certain brands that we focus on, certain market segments, and in that it's around an education of what we can do to show the beautiful terpenes, the flavonoids, and let consumers realize there's a great role with THC. But the benefit that cannabis brings is there's 113 cannabinoids. There's around 47 to 60 terpenes, depending upon the strains. And then how that unique works for each product. And our goal is to basically be able to tailor it to women, to health and nutrition. Overall goal is always to be the preferred cannabis supplier. And that's what we've been focused on.
I want to focus a couple more questions on Tilray. Tilray has that covenant deal with HEXO that you have to remain or generate positive adjusted EBITDA by the third quarter of 2023. Is that on track? Are you on track for that?
Well, to be fair, we didn't publish it, but we already hit those on the adjusted EBITDA. We hit that in Q4. So yes, we're right on track. And again, it's a great partnership between the two companies. What they do is really special and unique. What we do is really special and unique, and we try to leverage that. Where I come from is a specialty chemical business, and it's common for suppliers to make products to do certain things. In the agricultural business, you'll see ADM grows product for Cargill and for Purina and other areas, and that's just, we basically have adopted that. Our CFO, Joe Ivanez, that I brought across with me. We've worked together for 20 years, and this is part of the common model you see in these specialty chemicals.
Tilray's debt covenant would, once exercised, would give them, I believe, a 48% stake in HEXO. Isn't it just kind of inevitable at this point that Tilray will own HEXO and acquire the company whole?
Well, they were given the opportunity. before the deal was actually done to acquire. And the shareholders of HEXO didn't want to have that, specifically in areas of the minority shareholder rights. And so what ended up happening with the opportunity with Tilray, they do not own one share for us right now. They're basically a Rabobank, a Citibank, a Bank of America. They're a debt holder, Bank of Montreal, whatever you want to call it. And there is some synergies. The unique part is with that we had some working synergies or commercial agreements where we help each other from time to time. And that works extremely well. But as far as they could acquire us, sure, this industry is, if you take a look at what the asset value is and what the multiples are right now, if you take a look at the market caps, private equity could come in here if they wanted to and sweep through and own this industry very quickly and do a roll-up strategy. I see that in 2023. I think you'll see more suppliers go out. I think you'll see more roll-ups that'll come in, especially at the large LPs standpoint. And so our goal was, we wanted to strengthen our balance sheet. We wanted to be that preferred cannabis experience, really understanding the structure function of what we do and how we do it from the grow. It starts at the grow always and then works its way into the consumer products. And that's where I think some of the folks got sideways. They started looking at cost. They have old weed, they have old cannabis that they place in the market. And unfortunately, when you get that, you end up getting some products that aren't exactly to what the consumer's really looking for to be what they consider to be preferred. I do put one more in this that comes out, that's probably coming in 2023. Right now, you're having a massive amount of consumer inflation. Discretionary income that's coming in is really tightening on. And you're seeing it now in Canada start to really roll up. We were in the States, we were a little bit ahead of you guys when we could see it come through. And so one of the areas that's coming out within this inflation is you're seeing a different buying habits from the consumers. They're buying smaller, or they're buying in bulk and buying once a month. And so those are some of the dynamics that you're starting to see that's happening in the industry.
I got a few more questions. I don't know how much time we got, but I want to talk to you about, I just want to follow up quickly about your comment about private equity. I really think private equity is going to look to the cannabis sector here in Canada next year.
Massively
So massively consolidated. You think that there's significant opportunity
Well, it came from private equity. Well, it came from private equity. So did our CFO, Julius. And one of the things that they look for is unique products where they can have a nice roll-up strategy to get the infrastructure in a good place. The other part that you always see within those areas is an area that has a very sticky customer base. If you think about it from cannabis, as many people have, once they start cannabis, they tend to use that as opposed to other recreation things like alcohol or even different areas where they get a rush. And so from this standpoint, I most certainly see private equity starting to step into this.
Last question here. It sounds that Ottawa will be raising the purchasing limit for cannabis drinks here in Canada. Right now, you can only buy 5 355 milliliter cans at a time. Due to the regulations, they're going to up it to 48. Is this a really big deal, or is this kind of just like an incremental step? I know HEXO has a significant amount of cannabis drinks in the market, but is this really all that's cracked up to be?
Our Trust Beverage line, which is where we have a joint venture with Molson Coors, we own about 35% of the market share. Incredible repeat customers, just like Coke and Pepsi. People that drink Coke, they drink Coke. People that drink Pepsi, you don't see them once they get into a brand, they kind of stay in that brand. We see the same thing. Distribution is the key in the beverage industry, and it's been part of the issues that we had to do in the U.S. We recently announced that we took Trust USA down in the areas because we couldn't get the distribution right because of lack of legislation in the U.S. In Canada, it's the opposite. The key here is to get the distribution right. So the size will definitely help for the purchase. The next round of this will be is actually get the cannabis industry beverages into the ABC stores, into the liquor stores, those type areas.
There we go. So as you said, to get the MJ beverages into the liquor stores. So that wasn't something I really thought would happen, but he's pretty confident that that's going to happen. I thought we would probably see it in convenience stores and things like that. Would make more sense than putting it in with alcohol. I don't really see the point. But I mean, obviously, if you just have the store, if you just have beverages in the alcohol store, like they're probably not going to have all, full blown MJ products in there, just the beverages. That would make sense, I guess. And then in convenience stores, I think would make a whole lot of sense as well. But some people are saying that the audio is choppy. So apologies for that. I'll just put the link in the description here after the video is done. And if anybody hasn't seen that interview, you can, but I'll do that here after the live stream. I'm just going to jump into any questions. But I did want to mention real quick here that they have the new holiday readies, so wrapped and ready, and it's sweet and fruity blueberry OG, so a new strain in that. And a can of Cabana, it's only $18.13 at the moment. And I did post that they've been lowering the XMG price, so now that you can buy 72 of these, pretty incredible. And these were on sale because of Black Friday, but they're a regular $3.99 now, so $3.99 for 10 mgs is definitely a steal. And they also lowered the mango pineapple, I believe it was, on the XMGs. I think it's down to like $3.60, and then $2.27 for the Molo Lime. So that's lower than some alcohol beers, right? That, if we go buy just a single can, some of them, the lowest I've really seen is around, $2.99, right? So this was $2.27, and that's regular price right now. So the fact that these drink limits are increasing, right around now, the possession limit is increasing, has increased now right around the same time they're dropping the price. Not a coincidence, in my opinion. And then as we see bulk pricing, 6-packs, 12-packs, maybe even 24 and 48 packs, it's going to create even more of bulk pricing, in my opinion, right? So lots of positive changes. And like I said, we knew that HEXO, their sales have been dropping a little bit quarter over quarter, but that's likely because they're phasing out of those products, like you said, that weren't really resonating with consumers. They're focusing on high margin and profitable items and ones that are repeat. And he said that a new trend is that people are getting hit by the recession and rising inflation, and essentially, they're only spending once a month. And their buying habits are changing, right? So, and HEXO is a great business model for that. They have the bake sale here in Alberta. You can get an ounce, so 28 grams of bake sale for about $60 with tax. And I've noticed a huge increase in terpenes, in the quality, just something that, it's hard to really fathom coming from, being in the industry now for almost 20 years. It's kind of amazing how far we've come, and we're really just scratching the surface. So really looking forward to it. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. I see we have some familiar faces, so going to jump into it here. Really excited about the news. Obviously, let me know in the comments below if you guys are excited. You guys and gals are excited because, like I said, this is first of many, positive catalysts. Just from a Canadian standpoint, we could still get it in restaurants and bars. We could get it at venues. We can get it into alcohol stores, convenience stores. We know Tilray is pushing big for that as well. And this interview just goes to show that, and there's probably going to be a lot more of these interviews as time progresses, right? And I'm really looking forward to hearing from Julius, the new CFO. Didn't know that they worked together for like many, many years. I didn't know exactly. I think he said 20 years or something like that. But brought him along with him into that role, and I still haven't heard him speak. So really looking forward to hearing him speak and hearing his tone of his excitement level, everything like that, and just hearing what he has for plans for the business in the future. And like I said, whether or not they have an earnings call, that would be great. We'd definitely hear from him on that earnings call. So we'll see. He didn't mention if they're going to have an earnings call. So I'll reach out to HEXO and see if I can, their media relations company that's looking after that. I'll reach out to them, see if I can find out if they're going to have an earnings call. We should figure out that we should find out from HEXO the exact date soon. So they didn't say the exact date. They just said next week. It's due by the 15th of December. So between now and next Thursday. So we'll see official confirmation, and then in there it should say whether or not there's an earnings call, or if we don't get any communication at all regarding the upcoming earnings and an announcement, then there probably won't be an earnings call. So that's sort of what I'm expecting, but not completely. If they weren't doing these interviews and didn't give us some reassurance that the company was doing better from a financial standpoint, then I'd be a little concerned. But if they're not doing earnings calls right now and they're still doing interviews, keeping everybody updated, that's fine by me, to be honest with you. But jumping into the chat here, so thanks for having us, you bet. Thanks for joining the stream, as always, appreciate it. Cheers, welcome everybody. Hello. HEXO target by January. So we know that they have the NASDAQ listing requirement, the minimum bid rule. They need to get above $1 for 10 consecutive business trading days. So at the end of that closing price, it has to be above $1 for 10 business days in a row. So we are running short on time, but we do have the omnibus spending bill that could potentially include safe banking. We should find out more about that on Monday. If that happens, if we get any kind of rescheduling from Biden, we know HHS and the DOJ are looking into rescheduling. That could be something that could supersede that as well. So if we get anything, off of a Schedule 1, that's going to solve a lot of these problems. And I think it needs to be Schedule 3 or higher to solve the 280E problems. But we're going to see a slew of things likely fixed by rescheduling. And whether or not that happens this year, next year, that remains to be seen. Personally, I'm skeptical on the rescheduling. I think that they're going to somehow get the safe banking. We know they got about 59 votes. They need 60. So we're just one vote away. I mean, it's so close, you can smell it. But essentially, we could get that safe banking. I think that has the most likelihood of passing, and then rescheduling at some point. But if we get rescheduling to 3 or above, or no scheduling at all, then that would solve uplisting, that would solve safe banking, and that would solve what was the other one? 280E, right, which we know is really hindering the industry in the U.S., right, due to taxes. So if we get that momentum from the catalyst from the MJ sector, and we get drink limits increasing, we got earnings. Let's say we see a massive increase in earnings, and we see an earnings beat. It's not going to take much to beat these earnings as well. I did do a video on my last video. I'm not going to go into it, but I did a video on their estimates. So Q1 2023 earnings next week. In there, I go over the estimates, so you can refer to that video if you want to see more on that. And I also break down, I go into some technical analysis, things like that, and a price target. So I highly encourage you to check that out. But I could easily see 30 cents testing that 200-day moving average over the next couple of weeks. And then over the next couple of months, I do think that there's a very good chance it can get organically back over $1. But if they don't get in compliance with that minimum bid rule by January 25th, which is the deadline, they could get an extension from the NASDAQ again, or they could just organically hit it, right, and get it back above $1, which I think is very possible. But if not, I don't think they're going to be delisted. I say less than a 1% chance, because they already have approval to do up to a 1-for-14 reverse split. So it's just going to really depend on the broader market. If we see the S&P 500 week and the broader market week, that's going to be headwinds and not going to bode well for HEXO's shot at getting it back above $1 by January. But I think $1 is reasonable by January. Hi, happy to catch the chat. You bet. Thanks for joining. Well, happy they made the change for the drink as well. Yeah, absolutely. So 72 for the XMGs and 40 for the 355 mils. So 236 mils, you can get 72 of them, and then 48 you can now buy 355 milliliters, 48 of them. So definitely an exciting day. Audio is choppy. I've never had that complaint before, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. It might have just been on your end. I didn't see any other complaints, but is it just me, or is there an echo in the interview? So that might have been something going on with the audio there. It's good now. Okay, perfect. Welcome to the stream, QC. Appreciate you joining. Like I said, a lot of familiar faces in here this evening, and happy Friday. Hope everyone has a great weekend ahead. So Monday is our last chance in the lame duck session if they include SAFE in the omnibus bill. Yep, exactly. So, but again, we could still see rescheduling, right? If Biden were to work with the DOJ, work with the HHS, and get this rescheduled, it could happen in a short order. It could happen in months. It could happen in years, right? We just don't know. But based on, MJ being, medicine, based on half the states already legalized anyways, based on Canada 4 years in, based on Mexico set to legalize, based on all of the other international markets as well, I can't see them not passing some sort of form of reform over the next couple of months, in my opinion, at least in the next 6 months. But we do have new Congress as well in January, so we'll see where that leads, right, with the new with Republicans taking control of the House. A lot remains to be seen, but I think that as of right now, it could be in the omnibus bill. It could be a standalone package. I highly doubt that. Or it could be, like I said, Biden going through the rescheduling process and getting it either a Schedule 2 or above. And, depending on the schedule, it's either going to fix all the problems or some of the problems. But what we want to see at the bare minimum, in my opinion, is safe banking. We know that the Wall Street banks are going to want to get positioned first, right, before they start allowing it to all their investors and all their clients, right? So before the average investor and Joe Blow and regular guy and gal in the US can buy on, like right now it's OTC or NASDAQ listed stocks. So if you go on Robinhood and you're from the US, you probably can't buy the stocks in the US that you want to, because you're only exposed to the NASDAQ and the NYSE, right? The Tilrays, the HEXOs, the Sundials of the world, the Canopy Growths. And then once safe banking gets passed and we get uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, then that's when the Wall Street banks and the financial institutions are going to allow their clients to buy, like the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgans, the BlackRocks, all these huge, and Robinhood, you'll be able to buy on Robinhood eventually. So I think that we're going to get that first, but we'll take anything we can get at this point. But it does seem like they really want to get something done. We know Apple and Amazon are backing legislation, and legalization and reform. So we'll see. As the CEO said, EBITDA is almost break even quarter over quarter. What does that mean? So yeah, it's basically break even right now. So they need to get positive adjusted EBITDA as part of the deal with Tilray. So they said could be over the next quarter or two. And like we know that the SG&A is also going to likely increase next quarter as well. And we likely haven't seen all of the benefits of that happening just yet. They said they cut their workforce by about 1/3, and that's obviously going to cut back on that sales and general and administration, right? So I think it's going to continue to improve. I don't think we've seen even half of the benefits of all the layoffs and all the facility closures. Obviously, Cannabis going insolvent and the bankruptcy there. They're going through the creditor protection process. That's also going to take streamline their business a little bit more as well. So we could see positive adjusted EBITDA as early as the next 1 to 2 quarters is basically what they're saying. Hello, good evening. Video, audio got double. So, okay, like an echo. Yeah, I think somebody did mention that. So I'll check my my settings here for next time. HEXO Army waiting for uptrend. You bet. We still haven't confirmed a monthly uptrend yet. We've come a long way, but we haven't even started the monthly bounce yet on HEXO. So we need that monthly uptrend, just like CDC confirmed, to be confident that the bottom is in. What is lame duck session? So lame duck session is the period of which at the end of the term. So right now, Congress is basically meeting at the Hill, right? They had an election. It's an election year. And then we had a transfer of power. So when Congress, and I'm by no means no political expert, but essentially what it means is you have the House, you have the Senate, and the Democrats last year took control of the Senate. So they controlled the House and the Senate. They had a majority in both of those. But now the Republicans took control of the House. So now the lame duck session is that period from when the elections ended to the end of the year, right? So now the elections are done. Here's the end of the year. That's the lame duck session. And then in January is the beginning of the new Congress, right? With the new power in place. So hopefully that makes sense. Or that's another way to look at it as well. Government being lame. We grinding, you bet. I mean, HEXO's definitely been very vocal. They haven't been in the eyes of the public, but that's generally what happens as well, right? You're building in a bear market. You're not out there bragging because at the end of the day, people are just kind of, they're not really going to resonate. It's not going to resonate with them anyway, right? Because if the prices are down, there's not a whole lot. You're just probably going to get angry investors. So yeah, basically bear markets are for building and yeah, they're grinding. I can see, all of the things, the changes, the positive changes going on in the financials. We could even see EPS positives, so cash flow positive from operations as early as the back half of 2023. I think realistically we could see it in the summer or fall of next year. But definitely they've been, like I said, have been silent. I haven't been doing earnings calls. That's been a little concerning. But the fact that they're doing these interviews and we're starting to see more and more interviews with CEO Charlie Bowman is definitely reassuring. But I'd love to hear from the CFO, Julius, at some point soon. Hopefully they do an earnings call soon. Can we make Reddies come to Quebec, please? So I guess what I would say for that is reach out to your, elected officials in your area and let your voices be heard, right? Like we can all do our part. And obviously they have a lot of laws and regulations and they're very strict with regards to, just like things looking like cigarettes and whatnot. So whether or not that does get passed at some point, I'm hopeful and optimistic that it will. But at the end of the day, we just kind of have to take it for what it is. And they have other pre-rolls as well. But yeah, the Reddies are something, like you said, when private equity gets into the space, the Reddies are super high margin. They're a unique product. It's just the format is fantastic, right? And the product just resonates with consumers. People love it. And that's a great product as well that a lot of private equity, I bet, would want their hands in. And obviously creating white labeling opportunities as well. I assume you're feeling bullish on U.S. reform to some degree, to be feeling $1 in the next few weeks. I'm not saying in the next few weeks. I said 30 cents in the next few weeks, I think is realistic USD, but I think $1 between now and the end of January. But we need to get above that $1 for 10 consecutive business days before the 25th of January, or get another extension or do that reverse split, right? I really don't think we're going to get delisted. What's up, Rob? It's Rod. I'm not sure if that was a typo, but ROD. Thanks for covering HEXO. You bet. No problem. I've been an investor since they teamed up with Molson many years ago, and I've been following you for a year or so. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Climbing. Appreciate the support. Goes both ways. Definitely doesn't go unnoticed. So I appreciate your comments and joining the stream. Anyone concerned about trust deal with Protonify? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I never heard of them. To be honest, chatting about it in the private thread, it really does seem like TAP is moving away from HEXO. Any opposing thoughts? Would love to hear them. We need TAP. So yeah, it does. It definitely seems like they are taking a little bit of a step back. But as Charlie mentioned, they have the number one market share in Canada. I think he said 37%, and we now have the drink limits going up to 48. And they were getting rid of the US because the legislation wasn't there from state to state, right? So what did he say? It was distribution. It was the scaling and getting that distribution network, and they weren't able to fully optimize that and go full throttle because of the challenges regarding legalization in different states, right? And it was creating more problems than it was solving. So they're getting rid of that. But I think, again, remember, if we get rescheduling and we get full-blown legalization and we can get all of the trust drinks that are in Canada in the US, then, at that point, it's just going to be game on, right? And once we get federal reform in the US and rescheduling, things like that, uplisting of the NYSE and the NASDAQ, that's just going to increase that. But it definitely seems that way. But to be honest, we'll just have to wait and see. I don't think TAP's going to tap out no pun intended, but anything's possible, right? Even if they did, HEXO would obviously sell their stake in either to Molson or to somebody else, who knows, or maybe Molson would sell its stake to HEXO and Tilray, and they would just own that, themselves. But we'll just have to wait and see. We know that Tilray is looking at potential MedMen as well, which would be distribution in the US. They could tap into that. Again, no pun intended. But yeah, we'll continue. I know we talked about it in the private community. I know you're a private member, Alicia, so we'll continue to talk about it in there as time develops. But like I said, this drink limit going up and number one market share still 37% in Canada. The drinks going up. I think that, this partnership's only going to get better from here. But we need to be prepared for all scenarios. But either way, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And like I said, HEXO is going to have multiple CPG partners in the future. But yeah, I never heard of Protonify either. How much do you think the drink limit will increase the revenue here in Canada? So that's a good question. We may not have that much visibility into it for longer either, because Trust is set to operationalize its license. They just got their MJ license. So they're going to operationalize that in 2023, they said. We don't know when, but some point in 2023, at which point we won't see those financials on HEXO's. It'll go on TAP's financials, and they'll report. So we'll have to refer to Molson Coors financials going forward. But this drink limit, assuming they can keep stock right on the shelf, assuming they can keep the drinks in stock and have drinks on the shelves and not run out of inventory, and then this could easily, in my opinion, I'll easily be buying double the drinks than I have been. It might take a few quarters for this to really factor in and to see some benefits from it and some notable change in sales and revenue. So don't think that we're going to see it next week or maybe even first quarter in 2023 that they report. It's probably going to take a few quarters, but look for summertime, right? Because that's usually when beverages are super popular. And like I said, if they get it into liquor stores, that's going to be, people will just see it as they're passing through and, that might be something I want to try. Or if it's in a convenience store, it's just more access and that distribution network that they're working on. So I think a couple million, I don't see it being much more than that, maybe $1 million or $2 million. But again, as we know, once the distribution network gets built out, they're just going to turnkey it, and then they're just going to, full pedal to the metal essentially, and they're just going to tap that network. They're going to continue to leverage their current distribution partnerships, but then they're going to have potential alcohol stores. Imagine if it gets into events and restaurants and concerts, things like that. So there's so much potential. They need to get the stock and the inventory figured out. And then as they're figuring that out, get into restaurants and things like that. And that's going to we should, in theory, see 100% increase in revenues for beverages alone once all of that happens, right? Especially leading into the summer. So I wouldn't expect too much in the next couple of quarters, though. Maybe $1 million. Mitch McConnell really is the worst. He's the only one holding everything up. It really is the truth. The guy's got to go. Not to get political, but I want what's best for the MJ industry, and he clearly is not what is best for the MJ industry. So time to go. No way HEXO is delisting. Not going to happen. I don't think so either. The interview did echo. Okay, I'll keep an eye out on that. This is a new streaming software that I've been using as well. I never really had any issues with the other one, but that's the first time that I've heard any audio issues. What's your average on HEXO? It's about $1 Canadian. I've got a little over 50,000 shares right now on HEXO. What's your target for sell? So I have MJ in a long-term no touch, and I have it in a shorter term account. So in my long-term no touch, I use a lot less capital, and I won't be selling that until full-blown federal legalization in the US. I don't care what the price is. I'm not selling that until the US legalizes. That's what my dad's doing as well. He's following my strategy in his TFSA, his tax-free savings account, and he's just going to wait for full-blown legalization in the US. Then I've also got a short-term account where I have price targets set. So my average on HEXO is $1. I'll take profit in my short-term account. I've got some targets set at $2.50. Next will be $5. Next will be $7.50. Next will be $10, right? And I'll just scale out. And then, like I said, just kind of dollar cost average in, but dollar cost sell on the way out as well. But then I'll be having my long-term account. So that's why I think it's great to have it in two shorter and a longer term account. Again, not financial advice, entertainment purposes only, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold or what to do. But I see a lot of people saying, oh, I'm selling my HEXO shares and then I'm going to rebuy it later. Well, timing the market this low, I don't see the point in doing that. I'd rather have it in a short term account, a longer term account, not stress out, right? The long term simple. You could even set a year time frame on it. You could say, okay, in 5 years, not selling until at least 5 years, maybe 10 years. Maybe you're like me and you're not selling to the US legalizes, right? But then you have it in a shorter term account as well, where maybe you can get it in an edited positions. And you want to be careful with that too, because you could get flagged for short-term trading. If it's in an RSP, like a registered account here in Canada, shouldn't matter because you're taxed when you take it out. But a TFSA, that's a no-go. They don't like doing that where you're in and out of positions. And if you're in a cash account, you could incur capital gains losses that could help you in harvesting those losses. So everybody's situation is different, but hopefully that helps. I'm optimistic that something good is going to happen for MJ, keeping positive about it. Yeah, I do feel like this time is different. Like I said, Apple, Amazon backing it. Seems like it's all the talk of the town right now in Congress and in the US. And we know that they're going to really need the jobs. They're going to probably need the tax revenue. And it's just an industry that they're really behind on, right? Just like crypto. And I think the US is really going to be focusing on crypto regulation and MJ regulation over the next year or so, especially for MJ. I think it's going to be over the next few years, right? MJ is really going to be the focus. High Tide, what's my target on that one? I could easily see $3, $3.50. I was looking at that chart the other day for POW private members, and yeah, I could easily see $3 to $3.50 leading into the end of the year here into January. Super bullish on High Tide. He is the worst. I'm so mad at that old man. He's got to retire, dude. He's obviously. You don't understand anything about the industry. Yep. And I mean, he's, I think he's 70, right? Or almost 80. We talked about that on the last stream, I think. Mitch McConnell, age. Yeah, he's 80. So he's not going to be around there for too much longer. So we can have that to look forward to. But, don't wish anything bad that comes his way, obviously. But just want what's best for our industry. And that guy's got to go. Tap cultivation license and this Protonify deal, they simply don't need HEXO anymore. That's possible too, but HEXO does have a stake, so they're either going to have to buy them out or, we'll see what comes of it. But we'll see. Yeah, 80 years old. I'm just hoping for a bear market is over if and when HEXO does reverse split. Yeah, it's similar to the last time they did a reverse split a couple years ago, right? They were going to do a 1-for-8 reverse split, then they revised it down to a 1-for-4 because the whole market went on a tear. It ended the bear market, entered a new bull market, and they revised it down from an 1-for-8 to a 1-for-4, and then stock went from $2 to $11 USD. So again, now we have a similar situation where we're nearing the end of the bear market, and we could potentially do a reverse split, but I don't think it'd be the end of the world. But obviously, we'd like to get above that $1 organically. Tap has cultivation license and Protonify deal. Doesn't seem like to me they need a HEXO anymore, which is very sad. Yeah, so we just don't know. We can speculate, but based on what Charlie said, he's very optimistic and hopeful on the trust side. Said 37% market share here in Canada, and now the drink limits are going up. And I've really been noticing a better job at them having consistent supply. It'd be a couple weeks before I'd see another XMG, whereas now every single Monday I'm seeing quite a few show up and a lot more stock available. Sick of HEXO being constant since Yeah, it's the last 7 to 8 months, actually. HEXO's been between, I think, 28 cents and 15 cents USD. So there's not a big range there. Almost a year between that range, which is insane, right? So we're likely going to see a massive move at some point soon, whether it be up or down. I can't imagine much of a drop down below 15 cents because of how beaten down we are. We're down 98%, 99% from February 2021 highs, just like Tilray's down like 96% from February 2021 highs. So I just don't see how the industry really, the only way it could happen is if the broader market S&P 500 drops 5 or 10% a day or 20% over a span of a few weeks. But again, could care less. HEXO's not going anywhere. Tilray, MJ, as long as you pick sound companies, don't over leverage, don't invest any more than you're willing to lose, diversify, don't just own one MJ stock, have a mix of Canadian producers, MJ producers in the US and in Canada, retailers, some ETFs, right? So picks and shovels. And like I said, don't invest any more than you're willing to lose. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate the update, you bet. Thanks for joining. But wasn't part of the post-split surge partly due to the fact that the sector was going to run on hopes of legal? Yeah, exactly. So that's another point. That's just on hopes of legalization, right? That was just on the Democrats taking control of the Senate, which is just in hopes of we could see some reform. But what happens if we actually see reform, right? So if we ran that hard on hopes of legalization, what happens when we actually get safe banking, uplisting, 280E removal, and then full-blown federal legalization, right? These things would just go they would absolutely explode. TAP has cultivation licenses, and now the Protonify deal doesn't seem like they need HEXO anymore. I really hope this partnership remains intact and HEXO doesn't get bought out by Trust. Yeah, we'll see. I don't really have any, we can't really say for sure, right? We can speculate all day long, but there's not really any point in my opinion, because we just don't know what's going on behind closed doors, right? And to me, I don't think I think they're gonna be long-term partners personally, but I don't think it's the end of the world either way. If there's no progress on safe banking or something before January, it could tumble again. No, it could, but like I said, we haven't dropped below 15 cents yet. And yeah, we've been in this range for the last 7 to 8 months. Longer the base, the higher in the space usually. And we're setting a nice floor, and it's been really hard to break. CGC dropped, I think, like 8 to 10% today, and HEXO was only down a couple percent. It still didn't pierce through that 15 cent, even though Tilray and CGC are down like 30% in the last few days, right? But they ran a lot more, so they dropped a lot more, right? So we could see more downside, but it really doesn't seem to be piercing through that 15 cent mark. And like I said, there's not a whole lot of selling pressure right now, just because of seller exhaustion, in my opinion. Could definitely dip though. We just have to use this time to accumulate, and you don't just have to buy HEXO either. You can diversify. I own I think 14 different MJ stocks now. Pretty sure no longs are selling, and I don't know why the price is going down low day by day. Well, again, it hasn't really been going down over the last 7 to 8 months. It's just been ranged between 28 cents and 15 cents USD. So we're not really seeing any moves in either direction, right? And we're not seeing a huge. We're only seeing a couple percent each day, and yeah. Anyway, really appreciate these videos. I've actually been invested in HEXO pre-split. Finally have an average of 87 cents, roughly 8,000 shares. Very nice. Sweet, John. Yeah, I'm at about $1 Canadian and just over 50,000 shares. But again, I own Tilray, I own CGC, I own Organigram, High Tide. I've got Curaleaf, CL, Cura, already said Cura, TrueLeaf. I got MSOS, the ETF. So picks and shovels, right? Got a ton of cash on the side. If we keep dipping, I'll continue to dollar cost average. I own more crypto dollar-wise than I own MJ. It's breaking the lows with time. Yep, it's been just slowly creeping down. But like I said, 7 to 8 months between 28 cents and 15 cents. It hasn't really dropped a whole lot past that 15 cent mark. And like I said, forming a nice base of support, right? A penny here and there. Not that big of a deal. It is whenever the price is only 15 cents percentage wise, but we haven't really been dropping past that 15 cents. So it's proving us nice support for sure. 80K of HEXO. Very nice. Oh, you said you're screwed. Well, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. You could always sell some. You could sell half, keep some cash in case we do dip more, or you could buy other stocks with it, other MJ stocks if it's the only stock you own. Been accumulating for a while now. I'm confident in the company and armed with patience. Don't want to see what happened to MNMD. I think you meant happened to HEXO. Yeah, you bet. All right, going to end it there. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. Really appreciate your comments and contributions to the live stream. We've got about 40 people here, over 40 people here after 45 minutes. So appreciate you tuning in on this fine Friday evening. Happy Friday. Hope you have a fantastic week ahead. And like I said, super excited about just overall from the reform promise from reform in the U.S. We know that the drink limits is something that has been on the radar for a while. Not sure why it took so long, but better late than never. And really looking forward to what the next couple of months have in store, right, with regards to U.S. reform. We can see rescheduling. We can see safe banking. We know that Monday we should see a verdict on the omnibus spending bill and whether or not it gets included in that. So expect some volatility leading into Monday. It's Rob with Powell Group. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. We'll see you again on the next update. Take care. Have a great weekend.